feature, and let us know how you find the shuffle feature. I think a majority of the feedback we get is pretty positive around it, and it just helps you move around the room and jump onto different tables without lifting a finger, which is always great. But before we get back into the room and you're able to move around at your own pace and use the different areas of the room, like the one-to-one tables, for the next 15 minutes or so, I'd like to speak to our guest speaker, and it's going to be a Q&A format today. So we welcome any questions in the Q&A area, which you will see on the right-hand side along from the chat box. But if you're going to spend 15 minutes of your day being inspired and being motivated, this person will really help you do that. And hopefully you can leave today not just having met a lot of members and catching up with a lot of people, but just feeling a little bit more motivated, a little bit more perspective on life. So I'm going to ask Nikita if she can invite Alistair to join me up on the screen. And I don't want to share too much about Alistair's story and sort of his achievements, but he has represented Team GB, and I'm pretty sure you're the only one, Alistair, that has done that. So good morning to you. How are you?
Bradley, I'm all good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm well. Now, Alistair, I want to sort of jump straight into it really and set the scene for everyone here. You know, at 16, 17, you were living a lot of people's dreams, you know, a lot of young boys' dreams. You're playing football professionally, you are young, fit, healthy, and that is what a lot of young guys growing up, you know, dream of being a footballer. And then your life changed, and take us back to that time.
Yeah, Bradley, like, you know, that's a great introduction, but you say I was living, like, you know, young boys' dreams and everything. And to be specific, do you know what? 16, 17, I was living my dream. And as that 7-year-old, like, you know, when I first kicked my first football for a club, like, and when I met my best friend at school, you know, Simon Patterson, who also went on to become a professional footballer, we'd promised each other, we said, you know, we're both going to be footballers when we get older, and let's stick at it. And our plan was always simple. It was, let's concentrate on every kick that we do, because we had a plan where every boy in our school used to say they wanted to be footballers, but that meant, okay, what could we do to make sure we were better than them? We said, let's focus. We said, if we focus on every kick that we do, and then you make every kick you do better than the last one, then you add them all up. That means you're going to be good enough to play football. And that's what 2 6-year-olds thought at the time. And for me, that dream to be a footballer, I don't know if everyone in the audience will know, but I was actually born in Belgium, and it was at 4 years old, because I grew up in a country called Dominica, and now Dominica, smallest country you can think of, because population of 60,000, and that's like, you know, everyone in the whole country would fit inside of like most stadiums that are in this country today. And it was only at 4 years old when I came to England and I was watching a football match. I didn't realize I was watching a football match, because it looked to me like 10 men just running around after this ball. And then when John Barnes scored that goal, and then I saw everyone in the stadium just go crazy. To me, as that 4-year-old, I thought, well, more people in the country that I've just come from are going like that just because that guy did that. And I wanted to be part of that, you know. And it was from that day I said to my dad, you know what, I'm going to be a footballer, like, when I get big. And like, one of the questions I'd always said to my dad was, I said, Daddy, like, what's their job? Because my dad, he was training to be a barrister, and he was like, because I said, Dad, you don't play football. And he said, no, Alistair, I do. I don't play football, he said, but that is their job. And so I said, they do that every day, Dad. And he's like, yeah. And then a 4-year-old said, Daddy, how much money do they have? And I said, like, this much. And he said, no, Alistair. He did, like, open his arms really wide. And as a 4-year-old, that got me. And the words just came straight out of my mouth. I was like, Daddy, they must have so much Spider-Man toys. And it was like, Alistair, they've got loads. And I thought, do you know what? I want to play football, Dad. That's what I'm going to do. And he's like, why do you want to do it? And I said, Dad, look, so I can run around with my friends every day. And it was in that, like, you know, he said, all you have to do is run around with your friends every day. And then go into a new school. I met my best friend, Simon Patterson, who, just like me, wanted to be a footballer too. And I thought, we can do this together. And then, like I say, I'm going through this normal school system of playing football, your P's and all your various sports clubs. And I went on to represent my borough, like, you know, 10, 11 in my county. And as a 13 years old, I got scouted by Wycombe Wanderers. Simon and I both did. And we're playing, and that to us was actually, that's the next step on the ladder to going on to becoming a professional. Then it was at 16, after leaving school, gaining my GCSEs, we had a national final where we played QPR, and their chief scout was really impressed with my performance and said, Alistair, we'd actually consider you coming to sign for us. And wow, 17, you sign QPR, and like, you know, you sign your first pro contract, and you're thinking, wow, this is, when you look back and you think, wow, do you know what? All my dreams have come true. But then you look across at your best friend and you're talking all the time because you've been living that story together. And wow, he's signing for Watford. And you're thinking, wow, just like we planned all those years ago, me and my best friend, both professional footballers. And it, like, as you asked, right, it was something truly, truly fantastic. You know, all the things that you'd only like dream of. Like, you know, we're thrust into a world that, like, you know, highly disciplined though, but like, you know, moved at 100 miles an hour for us. And but something that I'll never forget because it's given me the life that the experiences that, like, you know, I never want to forget. And it's hard on me, and it's without that, I don't think I could be who I am at this moment, you know.
Absolutely. So you've just signed for QPR,
yeah.
And then what happens after that? Because your career, your football career, didn't pan out as you'd hoped. So share
my time
that
at
story.
QPR was actually really good in terms of playing us, scoring freely, like, you know, and you're always knocking on the door. You wanted your first team debut and things like that. You're playing in the reserve since 17. But then the first team, they'd gone into administration where we had that double relegation from being in the Prem to the first div to the second div. And I got told point blank, Alistair, we can't afford to really keep paying you. So you've got three choices. One, you can go on a free transfer. Two, you can find a team to go on loan. Or three, you can have a payout. And we all know if you get a payout, then you're not a footballer anymore. It becomes very difficult. But as Ian Dowie at the time, he got the move, or he left and went to Oldham Athletic. And the first person he called was me. He said, Alistair, we want to get you on loan here because I've always liked you and I think you've got a very good chance. So leave mum and dad behind in London, move up to live with a new family in Royton, up in Manchester, or just near Manchester in Oldham. And mum said, Alistair, only go if you're going to enjoy it. So I'm there. Great time now. So I'm playing for Oldham and playing in the reserve, scoring again. But then playing against Shrewsbury during the match, tore my cruciate ligament. And you think, wow, okay, is this going to be the end? Like, you know, what's going to happen? You come back to and guys, for any of you guys, I don't know what you know of injuries, but I actually did the unhappy triad. So my kneecap ended up round near the back of my leg, by the way, where I tore ruptured the cruciate and the cartilage came off the bone. But even then, there was no point in me that thought, oh, that's the end. Because I just thought, okay, I'll recover and I'll go back to playing. Like, you know, and it was a long recovery, about 11 months out. And a new manager coming at QPR was Ian Holloway at the time, didn't want to give me a new contract, which was like, you know, not a problem. I just won't be a professional at QPR, not a problem at all. I will often say I ended up getting a real job, my mum always calls it, and training to become a quantity surveyor. But my dreams was something that I always wanted to hang on to, you know, and like, you know, that was playing football. So I started playing semi-pro football for Northwood in the Ryman Premier at the time. But this is one of the reasons I'm always give life my best every single day, because just on the off chance, there was the Microsoft Xbox were holding a 5-a-side tournament. The winners of the competition get a free Xbox and, like, you know, a television and everything else. And I thought, my Xbox are just broken. Call my mate Simon, who's still at Watford. I was like, Simon, we need to put a 5-a-side team together. Season finished, so can you be in my team? He's like, yeah, no worries. And called a few more of my friends. Luckily, they were Jermaine Defoe and Jermaine Jennis. And we put together our own 5-a-side team for this competition, went to the tournament and won. And now it was going back to my car. There was a guy there called Carlos Smith, an agent who actually specialized in taking young players from England to countries in Central Europe. And he said, Alistair, I reckon you could go and play in Holland. And I was just amazed in that I gave it everything just to win an Xbox, but potentially my life has changed. So I thought, wow, let me explore this, because if there's something that I can do, let me go and try. So I put my job as a quantity surveyor on hold and said, listen, guys, I'm going off to explore the opportunity to play in Holland. They were like, wow, you only get these opportunities once in a lifetime, so go for it. Did. Signed for Helmersport. I remember playing against PSV Eindhoven, and I was thinking, how did that happen just after, like, you know, on the most random of days, you got up to go and win a 5-a-side tournament, like, you know, and your life has just absolutely changed. You've got Mark van Bommel standing next to you, you know, the Holland captain at many World Cups. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is what life is all about. But then it was only after being in Holland for about 9 months where I loved England, like it or not, England's my home, and I've just always loved it here. Don't think I could be anywhere else. And returned home, and that's when, like, Simon called me. He's like, Alistair, there's an opportunity for us at Tottenham Hotspur, but we need to sign for Wingate and Finchley, which is David Pleat, his semi-pro team that he's the director of. So I was like, yeah, me and my best friend since 6 years old, let's do it. So signed for Wingate and Finchley, going back to 2006 now. It was the September, just about to start the season. And Simon had this big car crash, like massive car crash. And that was something that really changed me, because in that car crash, Simon had died and everything. But just imagine, I didn't hear about this car crash until 3 months afterwards. The reason being, I was in a coma, because at the time I was like sitting in the passenger seat when Simon had the car crash, and had a friend that was in the back of the car, and a friend that went out the back window. He survived, thankfully, Faisal. But Simon and I, we both went through the windscreen. Now, Simon broke his neck. Myself, you see this here. Go through the windscreen. I landed on my head and had a compound depressed fractured skull, as well as other scarring on me. But this was the biggest injury that really had the doctors most worried. And they said to my parents, I might never walk again. The bit that no one here will believe is they actually told my parents I might never talk again. Now, who can imagine me not talking? Because ever since I've been in every shuffle, I've been talking away. So it's just what I do. And it was about 1 month into the coma, they said to my parents, like, one of you might have to retire to think about looking after Alistair. Mum was like, yeah, of course, he's our son. Of course, we'll do that. It's no problem. 2 months in, because I was full on life support machine, that actually said, would my parents want to consider turning off the machines because it didn't look good? But my dad was like, Alistair's never given up anything, so we're not going to start now, so we'll just keep going. Then at 3 months, they said, Alistair, well, his brain's responded to some treatment, but he's going to be very different. So we'll slowly try and wake him up. And doctors, they did. And they were right. I was very different. And it's all the things that we take for granted, because imagine being there for 3 months, not moving. I woke up and I had an afro like one of the Jackson 5. And for me, that was like, that was very different. And I had severe facial paralysis on this side, because that's where the injury or the trauma was. And even though my legs were so sore and I wasn't really moving, I was bedridden. There was one thing at the time, which was I in that hospital bed and I wouldn't feel any pain. And even in my head, I thought, I can practice this every day and just be able to do it better than anybody else. So for me, my mind was still working in the way that it always did, which was do what I can to just be the best that I can be. And it was when a doctor came to see me, and what he had said really changed from that day onwards, changed everything. Because he said, Alistair, you get about 5 years. He said, you keep improving for 5 years, but after 5 years, wherever you get to is roughly where it's kind of going to stay. And then you think, well, okay, you've got two choices. Choice one is you can stay in bed and moan, but then in 5 years' time, you'll be in bed still moaning. Or you can get up and try moving, try doing what you can. That was the hardest thing ever. I say it didn't scare me, because it sounds bad saying it, but I actually relished the opportunity of trying to overcome this. This is going to be the biggest game that I'm in, but it's the biggest thing that I can win, And that's how I saw it every single day. The things that scared me the most was, my face is just not moving just yet. But okay, how do I increase my knowledge? What can I do? Speech therapy. Well, I'm going to do it. You can go once a day. I don't want to go. I'll go twice a day, And then you do everything as best as you could, just like I did as a youngster, trying to be that footballer. And that's exactly how I approached this. And
wow,
started walking away.
Yeah, I mean the lesson there, particularly around your mindset around continuous improvement, and is that a mantra? What mantras do you have? I'm conscious of time, and very difficult to get that whole story within the sort of 15 minutes that we've got. But many think that it takes a life-changing moment like that to change their mindset or change their approach to certain things. So with that having lived that experience, what is something that you share, perhaps as a mantra that you live by, that you think anyone else can live by without having to go through that unimaginable sort of adversity?
Yeah, well, for me, I think we can actually change our lives at any time. Every day, we've got the ability to do it, And the one thing that I always say is, be better than I was yesterday, every day. And that's the only thing that we can do, you know, or aim to do. I find that we don't need to wait for something bad to happen for us to then be able to overcome it. We can actually just put things in place to just keep giving our very best. Make life as we know life can be hard, so let's not make it any harder than it needs to be on ourselves, you know.
Yeah, I like that one. I might take that one away. That's
no, please
absolutely.
do.
And Kayla Shepherd's asked, how do you feel when people say you are inspirational? What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, I always say thank you, because I don't find I can't say to anyone I'm inspirational. You know, that's for the beholder to actually say they find it inspirational. All I can do is continue to be myself and try and share, like, you know, what I've been through to hopefully help others. And I find that, like, you know, in being inspirational, this is me trying to live the life that I think that I should be living in. Like, you know, everything my parents had told me and everything that I've sort of understood in the world. If I can just do that to help others, then I'll always do it. So
brilliant. And you did go on to represent Team GB, and we won't, unfortunately can't go into that too much detail just because of time. And I'm sure people can find the videos of various things of you playing for Team GB in the Paralympics. But you're now using all these lived experiences as a mentor and as a speaker. I'd like to ask a question that we sort of posed to everyone in the room. So what is your motivation? What is your purpose now?
My motivation really is I've got 2 children and now 2 sons, and I just hope that I can actually, when I do end up leaving this world, that I'll have upskilled them well enough to take on every challenge that life throws at them, you know?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that's your life story can certainly inspire anyone, Alistair. So thanks a huge amount to joining us this morning, for being part of this morning's session, and conscious of time. So I just want to sort of allow people to go back into the room where hopefully you can stick around and catch up with some people as well.
I'd love to, you know, I really would. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Alistair. Alistair Heselton, ladies and gents. Really appreciate you joining us, Alistair. And before we go back into the room, as I mentioned earlier, I'd like to invite Paul Shaw to join me up on screen. So you should have a little invite from Nikita to join me up here, Paul. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Morning, Brad. Yeah, very well, thank you. All good.
Sorry, you've got to follow that story, but as today's sponsor of the meetup, just give people an idea of what you do, Paul.
Yeah, really quick. Thanks for that, and a great inspiring story. Business Doctors is a nationwide network of business consultants. We operate right across the country. I hold one of the franchises for London. And what we do is we help the owners of small and medium-sized businesses grow their business and achieve their vision. And we do that by helping them build a strategy that works for their business. We look at what makes them different, what makes them stand out, who their most valuable customers are. And we build a program that enables the business owner to really put together an action plan that can make it all happen. And we as business doctors stay with them every step of the way and make sure that they're able to get the fruits of their labors. You know, we want business owners to enjoy what they do, to get something out of it, and to achieve what they want to achieve. And when we were talking earlier about what motivates you, you know, I come from a corporate background. The thing that really motivates me about doing what I do is being able to see the difference that we can make when we help business owners to achieve everything that they're capable of. And that, for me, is very inspiring. So, yeah, that's Business Doctors. And if anyone wants to find out more, I'll be around for a while, or by all means, get in touch by email or phone. Thank you.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much, Paul. And yeah, Paul will be around the room, and he also attends at Twickenham, our in-person event, for anyone that is looking at attending that, and you can meet Paul in person. That is pretty much it for this part of the meetup. We can now go back into the room and use the virtual lounge and all the different areas in the room to take advantage of today's meetup. So we do encourage you to use the one-to-one areas in each of the bottom corners. The Network My Club team are around and happy to make any introductions. But yeah, another thank you to Alistair for joining us and sharing that story. I'm sure we could have gone on for another half an hour or so, but such is the format and the time of this morning. But other events we've got coming up. So we've got an in-person event at the Ageas Bowl on Thursday. We've got an online meetup next week, which is in collaboration with the Watford Chamber of Commerce, so bringing their members to ours. And in March, we've got a jam-packed schedule with 3 in-person events, 3 online events, and we'll keep you in the loop with all of those. But in the meantime, great to have you all with us this morning, and see you either in person or through a screen very, very soon. Thank you.